There are a few easy steps to follow to get your tent pitched quickly and keep it secure if the weather turns stormy overnight. The first thing to do is pick an appropriate campsite. Of course, you want to find level ground, and a view is nice, but a lot more goes into it. Check out our video on selecting a good campsite for a primer. This video is going to cover how to set up your tent efficiently, how to stake it out for maximum stability and ventilation, and the best way to guy out your tent to keep it secure and quieter in the wind. The best advice is to practice setting up your tent at home. The last place you want to learn how to pitch your shelter is after dark as bad weather rolls in. No matter which tent you use, the order in which you set it up is the same. It's a good idea to use a ground cloth or footprint to protect the bottom of the tent. Lay that down first, with the shiny side up. Next, lay out the body of the tent on top of the footprint. If there are color-coded nylon tabs on the corners of your tent, make sure to match them to the tabs on the footprint. Now come the poles. Assemble them carefully and make sure that each pole is fully seated in the next before moving on. When the poles are together, match them up to their grommets on the tent body and footprint. Some tents use color-coded pole sections to help make this process a little easier. Once all the poles are attached to the grommets, you can attach the tent body to the poles. Most tents use these little plastic clips. Next, lay the rainfly over the tent. Make sure that the Velcro tabs at the seams are on the inside. Also, make sure the door on the fly matches up with the door on the tent. Now you can connect the Velcro tabs to the poles and loosely connect the fly to the corners of the tent body. You'll want to tension it after you stake out the tent. Position your tent so that the strongest side, the end with the most pole structure, is facing the likely direction of the wind. It's especially important to avoid the wind hitting the broad side of the tent and turning it into a sail. Once you've chosen an orientation, pick a corner, slide a stake into the tie-down loop, and pound it in at about a 45-degree angle back toward the tent. Next, move to the opposite corner. Pull the tent tight and pound in the next stake. Repeat until each corner is secured. Once the corners are staked down, you can move to the fly. Make sure the vestibule door is closed. Pull it down until it's moderately tensioned and stake it out. Do the same on the other side if your tent has two vestibules. If your tent has extra loops near the bottom of the fly or on the sidewalls, stake them out for increased ventilation and less condensation. Now that the tent is fully staked out, you can adjust the tension on the fly. The key is to avoid over-tensioning one corner from the get-go. You want to tension each corner evenly to make sure that the seams line up over the poles. Keep in mind that the material in most tents stretches slightly when cold or damp, so re-tension the fly before bedtime. Guy lines attach to the tent's rainfly on fabric loops about halfway up the seams over each pole. The point of these lines is to strengthen your tent's pole structure in the wind. Now, if you're expecting mild weather, it's usually enough to just stake the guy line down into the ground as far from the tent as you can. But if you know you're hunkering down for a windy night, it's worth taking the time to really secure your shelter properly. First, if you only have enough cord for a couple lines, it's important to use the guy points that are facing into the wind. Start by tying the guy line cord to each point. You can use whatever knot you like, but the bowline is a good choice. The other end of the cord attaches to your anchor, and it usually includes a plastic plate or cam lock to adjust the tension on the line. If that plastic tensioner breaks, or you decide to attach a longer cord, it's worth knowing how to use the trucker's hitch to tighten it down. Guy lines work best when they're perpendicular to the pole they're reinforcing. For maximum strength, You want the guy line to come out of the fly at as close to a 90-degree angle as possible. You can attach the guy line up to a tree branch, but if you don't have a convenient tree, you can also use an upside-down trekking pole. All you have to do is attach the cord to the tip of the pole. A clove hitch works well for this. And anchor the line to the ground. And keep in mind that big natural anchors like logs or rocks are sometimes stronger options than stakes, which can loosen up in the wind. Once your tent is set up, all that's left to do is kick back and enjoy the evening.